Please join me in rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We call to order. Minutes, Resolution 24-102, accept the minutes of May 15th, 2024, and the minutes of a special meeting on May 29th, 2024.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? To go. Workshop, charter policy review.
So this is my conclusion of the review of the county charter. It's taken me about 11 months, and it's proven to be very educational to me. So in your packets, I just had a one-pager in there where I kind of made some notes in regards to how the charter in Somerset differs from other charters. There are 5 total charters of 16 counties. And I'll just run through them real quick and just make some observations. Charters from Cumberland, Aroostook, and Androscoggin have a division of powers between legislative and administrative. Essentially, that operates a little bit more like a town meeting or a town manager form of government. In Somerset, you kind of stay with what the state statute is in regards to the commissioners have the final say in all administrative categories. In regards to replacing people in vacancies, only Somerset has the caucus of municipal officers model. Finality of budget, only Somerset and Aroostook have the budget committee actually have the final say. And as we talked about a few weeks ago, recall, only Somerset County allows for recalls of all elected officials based on petition with no reason for recall stated by the petitioners. So that's basically my summaries of the findings of the charter, where it is unique. I don't have any strong recommendations on changing anything, but if you did, there's a whole process for doing that. We're going to talk about a little bit in the next workshop. So, any questions?
So that was kind of my question. If we decide we want to change it in some way, we're going to talk about how to do that on our next.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
And we'll discuss the verbiage of the recall from, instead of having what's quoted in the charter to a substitute, because it does say in the charter, language that works on this. So instead of using abolish, we'd use something like make.
I think we can get to that if you're ready to move on to workshop 2.
Sure, okay. We're all ready.
So what the chair and I have been discussing is if we were to make changes, there's a couple of ways you can do that. If you want to make changes to the charter language, you can do so by creating a subject and then taking that subject to the voters. But before we get into that too deeply, one of the things that Commissioner Cezak had brought up was harkening back to last year in the November ballot, the commissioners put on the ballot a question to change the Register of Deeds position from elected to appointed. And that question failed. And one of the questions that the chair brought up was maybe it has to do with the language. So in your packets, you'll see this paragraph here where the language refers to, in the charter, shall the position of an elected official be abolished and replaced with an official appointed by the Board of Commissioners. And so what we wanted to discuss in this workshop is, in the language of the current charter, would it allow us to alter that language, which is at the bottom of the page, shall the elected position of the official be permanently transferred to a professional position of that official appointed by the Board of Commissioners. And I think maybe the idea was changing that language, and would the charter allow you to do that because the line above there says, "The question to be submitted to the voters shall be in substance as follows." So I know we're kind of going around the bush here a little bit, but I believe, and the Commissioner Cezak can speak to this, I believe what he's asking for a discussion about is, should we go at this again in the November election by asking for a change from elected to appointed in the Registry of Deeds? And can we, if we do that, can we use this language that doesn't refer to abolishing positions, but rather permanently transferring them? So that's what I think the chair wanted the discussion on today.
Well, I would, we really got trounced on this last go-round, but, I mean, there's no harm in trying again, I guess.
Oh, I would think it would be beneficial to the Registry of Deeds to know that her job isn't gonna be on the shopping block every couple of years.
Right.
I know road commissioner, like in these small towns, it's pretty tough to know that they're gonna be re-elected every 2 years.
And the thing about putting it on the ballot now for this November, the Register of Deeds will be on the ballot, but it will be blank, because no one has submitted paperwork to be on the ballot. And,
Plus, it's a high turnout election, so
Right.
yeah,
might be.
but my real question is, do you believe that we can use this language of substance?
Well, I think we could change the language from the last go-round. I'm not particularly happy with some of the syntax in this replacement. I think we could maybe improve it a little bit.
So,
Oh, please improve away.
so I guess
I don't know what we're talking about, but we should transfer a position. That,
Well-
my English teacher would scold me for using that, and to a professional position, seems a little awkward to me. I'd like to think about it.
So before we get there, I just wanted to make sure that commissioners are in agreement that you're reading the charter to say, "The question to be submitted to the voters shall be in substance as follows," and then it says, "Shall the position be abolished and replaced?" Whatever you're going to change that language to has to kind of fit that criteria in your mind of, okay, this question is not going to be worded word for word with the words abolish, but does it have the same substance? Does it have so are you bound to the word that is in the charter? You have to use these words, or can you alter these words a little bit? I think that's what we're getting to today.
Yeah. And we can wordsmith it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's just an example of wordsmithing.
Yeah, I think we should move forward on this and try to get it, yeah.
So spirit of the law versus letter of the law.
Well, I was going by the letter of the law, it says in substance.
I don't get where.
Spirit and substance.
No one's taking out papers,
No one's taking up, I just looked.
that's important
I didn't see it.
to know.
Yeah, I think the chair makes a good point in that on this ballot, you'll have most of the county offices that are open, and to see that as empty, and then have a question that follows thereafter to change it might make a difference.
And maybe a little public relations to point out the fact that this is the second go-round, right?
Right.
With nobody on the ballot, so.
Right. Okay, so we can come back to the language of that at a later meeting. The only other thing I brought up here was if you, for an example, subject number 2, if you wanted to change language in an article for filling a vacancy, say one of the seats on the Board of Commissioners becomes open. Right now, you have to call a caucus of select persons within that district, and they can select a replacement. If you wanted to change that and do what many other counties do, is essentially have the board be able to assign a replacement until the next election. That language is in your packets there, if you wanted to pursue something like that. I'm not recommending it. I really, it doesn't matter to me one way or the other. But it is one of those areas where it's unique to Somerset County to caucus municipal officers to try to make a change in county government. So.
Again, I'm not sure, but let's say we had 3 or 4 changes that we wanted to make to the charter.
Right.
Do we as a board say, we adopt all 4, we work on the language, we wordsmith it, we tighten them up so it looks good and says what we want. And then we put them all on like a subsection of the ballot in November that says proposed changes to the Somerset
Right.
County Charter.
Right.
And then we just list them and there'd be a separate vote on each one.
There would have to be a separate vote on each subject. Right.
And so we would just basically hack off a piece of the ballot for our particular
Right.
need. So if we got together as sort of a subcommittee of the whole or whatever and decided what we wanted to do, there's no big deadline staring us in the face right now, I assume.
No.
And we could come up with that. I mean, I'm in favor of such a process.
So John, you're referring to amendments to the charter rather than a revision of the charter. If we do a revision, I think we have to go and have a charter committee.
That's right. You'd have to have a charter commission to do a revision,
Yeah.
where you're changing.
That is,
But the
it's squishy to me.
It is.
Where you draw the line.
And the tricky part is, you're the ones that draw the line. So it's up to you to decide whether you're making a revision or
But
amendment.
ultimately, the voters decide to approve either
Right.
the revision or the amendment, so it's a distinction,
But
no
the
difference.
revision goes through a much longer process with the charter.
And they accept all the changes in one as opposed to
That's correct.
individual.
That's correct. With the-
I don't see someone coming out of the woodwork and saying, wait a minute, you guys, you did this all wrong. You should have had a subcommittee on the charter, spend
Right.
months on this before coming out with the exact same changes that you're presenting to us right now. I don't see that happening. Maybe from Canaan.
I would say from the original people that worked their butt off to put the thing that we have in place.
Well, you talked to Peter Mills about this, he was sort of leading the charge on this.
Yeah.
He has some unusual views that he expresses at this point. But I think we ought to get a slate of changes and just put them on the ballot and not call them revisions. Let's call a spade and just do that. That would be my recommendation.
Why would they have to be individual?
Pardon me?
Why would they have to be individual, or is that part of the statute?
That's part of the charter amendment, to say you have to change it subject by subject.
Any other discussion? All set? Would you want to discuss county membership of Kennebec Valley Council of Governments, KVCOG?
I bring this up because probably most of you are familiar with KVCOG. Many of your home towns are part of that group. I was part of it when I was in Madison. I was on the board of directors for a while. And we've been talking back and forth, myself and Joel Greenwood with KVCOG, about benefits to Somerset County, especially to the large unorganized territories that we have. One of the benefits that essentially pays for the dues is the ability to get involved with their joint purchasing on road salt. And Dave did some numbers for me with state bids right now. So if we took the state bids for all of our UT work, which is about 1,100 tons of salt up in Lexington, Mayfield, Rockwood area. The state bid right now averages out to about $85 a ton. Through the joint purchasing for the northern part of the state through KVCOG, it's $76 a ton. So we're saving about $9 a ton on 1,100 tons. It's about a $10,000 savings. So that would be a benefit to the unorganized territory. One of the other benefits that I've talked with KV-COG about is their work with emergency management planning. And they work with most of the member communities, but by having a membership for the unorganized territory, that would help with places like Rockwood, Lexington, Concord, emergency planning, also other planning activities, economic development, writing grants, that sort of thing. So there is a cost associated with it. We kind of went back and forth on how it should look. We came with a number around $7,800, $7,900 for a county membership with KV-COG. That's similar to the town of Madison's size, but you're dealing with a much larger area in the UT. Now, this would be a benefit to both the UT and the rest of the county, but primarily it would benefit the UT. So I wanted just to present it to you and see what your thoughts were on it.
It sounds like the cost savings on the salt purchase alone takes care of that.
I think so. From the numbers Dave gave me, it certainly would.
That 7,800, that's a total cost, no,
Right, that's our dues, essentially. That's
Dues,
county
okay, now those are-
membership dues.
okay, do we have to hire attorneys and whatever out of the year, or? is that-
No, I think one of the things you may be thinking of is contracted planning, where like the town of Skowhegan and the town of Madison both use KV-COG for their planning services, to help with their planning boards. That wouldn't be something that the county would initially pay for. However, talking with Commissioner Cezak earlier, it may be worth their while to have some connection between KV-COG and the Land Use Planning Commission, which does basically the planning board code work for the unorganized territory. So,
Tim, how long have we not been a member of KV-COG?
does anybody know if you've ever been a member of KV-COG?
We have not.
I don't think we've ever.
What other benefits are bestowed upon us?
They have a lot of benefits. We looked at this from the UT standpoint a number of years ago. And at that time, we were looking at salt costs because the Forks Plantation, who we are in business with on the Lake Moxie Road, they own part, we own part. And they were getting their salt at a lower price. So we decided, well, let's see where things stand. And yes, it's a lower price for salt going through KV-COG than going to the state. But you have the membership fees involved, and from the UT standpoint, it was about a break even. And all the other services KV-COG was advertising, basically saying they could do for us, mapping and a lot of the other things, we didn't need. We have our own mapping system here.
Right.
So we just looked at it from the UT standpoint. The rest of the county was going to be an extra charge, so I'm not sure whether $7,900 that Tim quoted is both the county and the UTs or just the UT by itself. But it was about $6,000 several years ago for the UT by itself. And that was about the difference in the salt price. So we did not change. We stayed with the state.
They do other things like buying fire engines, or is there other?
Materials such as, again, more road work type things.
They do culverts, I know.
Yeah.
But this is not to be confused with Maine Municipal, or they
No.
don't provide legal services.
Right, the KV-COG does not provide legal services.
And they
It's
don't.
similar to Maine Municipal.
It's not an economic development.
They do have economic development assistance and so forth. Here's the optics of it, and Commissioner Cezak knows this from being on the Legislative Policy Committee. We're constantly trying to ask the state for more assistance with jail funding. And they constantly push back at us as, you counties are all islands. You never play together with anybody else. So this is a step in that direction, to at least we can say we're trying. You know, we've taken the steps of membership with an organization that serves Kennebec County, Somerset, and part of Waldo County. And so that, to me, that's one of the optics that I look at in this, the benefits for salt, and we may find some benefits to emergency management structure as well. So,
I'm not opposed to it, I just was curious about its overall reach.
So, by disengaging with the state in how we're handling, we'll use salt, for example, and let's say the KV-COG situation doesn't work out in the first year or two, and we need to re-engage with the state. Is that a heavy lift? Is that a lot of?
No, we should sign up for it.
Yeah.
A lot easier than licensing a gravel pit.
Very much so, yes.
Will KD Cog be able to deliver the salt?
But that's why it's a delivered price.
Will they be able to meet that demand?
Oh, certainly, yeah.
Right.
They already send tons to Jackman and Moose River and all that area, so.
One of the companies that gave the best rate to the state for two of our contractors is the same company that supplies KP Cog. So there won't be any problem.
That's a good question.
Okay, no, I just want to make sure that they didn't promise something they can't deliver on.
Right.
And I believe there was a time when they couldn't deliver, about 10 years ago. So,
Well, I don't know if we have to hear more, but we should put up a resolution on that as soon as possible.
If that's the consensus of the board, I'll put something on the next agenda.
you agree? So,
Yeah.
yeah, good, okay. We can take a vote on the next meeting. All set?
Yep.
No public hearings, public comment to allow members of the public to comment or reserve time to speak on an upcoming agenda item. Is there anybody who wants to reserve time or speak now? Reserve?
Only, yes, only to answer questions that might be asked.
Okay, very good, thank you.
I have.
Don't see anybody else? So with that, there's no public comments, and one reservation, one reserve time. New agenda items, county commissioners? All set? Finance reporting.
We're currently 16 openings countywide. We're still no major changes since the last time I gave the forecast for you. The department heads are still, continue to be good financial stewards. As you know, we passed we got the FY 2025 budget passed, so everything's going smooth in finance.
Any questions? Thank you. Administrative report?
So you've got my report in your packet, just a couple of things to note there. The UT TIF is before DECD, and I think we finally buttoned up the final questions that she had for that, and so that should be headed to Commissioner Johnson's desk for approval. Let's see. I wanted to just touch on something that the chair and I have emailed back and forth about. There's a passage in the legislature to direct the University of Maine to try to locate a medical school in rural Maine. And so that got the attention of folks from Penobscot County. The town of Lincoln created a resolution, and they sent it out to the county commissioners in other rural counties, asking them to support a resolution, not necessarily to locate it in Lincoln, which is what their resolution was about, but to encourage the legislature to locate a medical school in rural Maine. So you may see that at the next meeting, just a draft of something that would follow along the lines of what they're doing in Penobscot, Waldo County, other counties, try to encourage the state to locate it, don't put it in Bangor, right? Don't put it in Orono. Try to put it in a place like Millinocket or,
A full-fledged medical school?
I don't know how full-fledged it is, but if the university is going to place another medical school somewhere, the thrust of this was to get it into rural Maine.
But they don't have one now. There's no University of Maine Medical School.
Maybe similar to like the nursing school in Fort Campus.
I would assume something like that. So I just want to make you aware of that coming up.
Probably like a medical training facility of some sort.
Right.
Right.
Not, okay.
Okay. And so speaking of,
Actually, more like a medical school.
Coming out,
As the training, it would be through the hospitals, but this would help feed the rural hospitals with the doctors that they would need, and, which is residency.
Yeah. Oh, I just thought it was amazing that they would do that.
I'll get you some more details between now and the next meeting.
They have unlimited money.
Yeah, they like to be doctors, they like to be in cities.
And speaking of the next meeting, if you saw my draft schedule, as we identified, if we keep on the 2-week schedule, we run into Juneteenth on the 19th, so here's what I'm recommending. I'm recommending that there's a 3-week gap between this meeting and the next meeting on June 26th. And then we go 2 weeks so that we're not right up against 4th of July, and meet on July 10th and July 24th. That allows me time off to facilitate my daughter's wedding. So there is the self-serving part to it. And then resuming the 1st and 3rd in August, and meet on August 7th and August 21st. So you'll have a resolution to that effect coming up in just a minute. So,
Tim, your calendar here has probate, this is the, just for some reason you have the probate court schedule?
yeah, good catch. There's been a lot of Wednesdays this year. That, as you know, that probate schedule is done a year and a half in advance.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of Wednesdays that probate's in session as commissioner meetings are in session. It makes for a very, very busy courthouse. I just put that on there just for your information. It also allows us to miss those probate dates.
Have you given any thought to my cockamamie idea that we just meet every 3 weeks, year in, year out, instead of
We're
every?
going to do it on a trial basis.
Okay, well, let's,
Last meeting was 3 weeks ago, next meeting's 3 weeks, so that's my trial balloon.
okay, well, I think we should all pay attention to see if it works.
Okay.
I think it will.
Nothing's burned to the ground yet.
No, we will, probably prosper,
And that's all I have.
it will prosper.
We'll tattoo it on our arms. Okay, all set?
Yep.
Department heads. Who have we got? Tammy Baker.
Hi, good afternoon. Just have a few things. Maine calls for service, we handle 6,471 calls for service, or 208 a day, 1,995 911 calls. Our staffing is going well. Our last hire, he's finishing up his mandatory state training next week. Currently, we're doing a lot of work on our new CAD build, which is data conversion, functional testing, all that fun stuff. We've scheduled our training for all the agencies the last week in August through the first 3 weeks in September. And our go live date is September 24th. The new tower on York Hill is set up. We're just waiting for a tower climber at the comm center and console programming for that tower. And the last thing is we have the Madison generator set up, propane's in there. So that's all good to go.
All set? Any questions? No. Thank you. Sheriff?
Patrol had 413 calls for service last week. They took the calls. This Friday, we have Deputy Bowman, who's graduating a 14-week course with our new patrol K-9 Reeves. That's an open graduation. It's at 10 o'clock on Friday if anyone wants to attend. The Detective Division did another illegal marijuana grow in St. Albans last week. I also wanted to make you aware that on July 1st, because our legislature has deemed that we'll be reporting out to the Attorney General's office for every vehicle stop we make, whether it's a defect, missing plate, or a traffic violation. We're going to have to record perceived color, perceived race, perceived ethnicity, perceived gender, perceived age. Did we make an arrest or not, and did we perform a search? So our deputies will have additional duties, reporting duties. Also, I want to make you aware that today the chief
the major and I met with Maine's workforce, the Workforce Development Coordinator. It's out of, from the Harold Alphonse Center, that if we enter into an agreement with us, with the Somerset County Sheriff, they will provide half of all our training costs. So it might have a positive effect towards all the training that we have. And what it does, it allows each employee up to $1,200 every year for training. So we have some people that are going to be heading off to what is called the corrections training. They would pay for half of that. So I'm most likely going to be entering into that agreement, and we're just working out the internal part of it now. I want to make you aware of that.
So my question regarding the charting of the perceived items, much of that is on the driver's license itself. Is there, age isn't on there anymore?
The age is through the date of birth, but the rest of the information,
No, I know race is not.
yeah, is not.
I was just wondering that if it was convenient to somehow scan or take a copy of the driver's license that was provided, should they have one.
Well, we're gonna have to report out to the Attorney General's office, I think it's quarterly, with this information. It has forced me to go what is called something e-ticketing, e-citation. It's I guess an app, I guess, or a program from the state that the deputy right from his car can answer these 7 questions through a drop-down box series.
Oh, okay. It just seemed to me that it was a time-consuming operation that would perhaps risk life if there was an emergency.
We're going to see how this, we're experiencing this, we'll see what the difficulties will be. But I'll leave it at that.
Thank you.
So,
So,
the way that I'm hearing this is that has to be performed before any action can be taken to that individual, or can they be arrested and read their rights prior to that? I mean, because we're talking about a risk situation.
So, these 7 questions that we're going to have to answer, we have to answer them as a result of the stop.
Okay.
So, if there's immediate action or a volatile situation evolving in front of the deputy, at that moment, they can react to the emergency, but they still have to answer the 7 questions on every stop.
You said that they can answer those from their vehicle.
Yeah, so we've moved to, as a result of this, we moved to e-ticketing. I think that would be the most efficient way to answer those questions. So we've had to work with IT and to be able, we weren't doing e-citation prior to this.
cool.
So, Sheriff, in this situation, has the state provided any sort of extra funding for this extra manpower that the taxpayers are going to be responsible for? Or is this another unfunded mandate?
Another unfunded mandate.
I think you knew the answer.
Sheriff,
Maybe it's our brain.
I assume, I don't know what drives this stuff, but I assume there's someone in the legislature perceives that there's some kind of racial profiling or something going on that they want to stamp out. But is there any, with respect to this law, is there any kind of, like, it seems to me they could do this for a year or something, collect the data, and then see where they stand. It's just,
There's no sunset.
there's no sunset on it?
No, sir.
And is there any, I mean, I think the ACLU would be involved in this as well, but is there pushback on this from?
Yeah, not the way you think.
Well, I mean, there was initially pushback, but at the end of the legislative session, this is what was put forward. Originally, I think it was postponed for a year because of the issues that were explained that might come as a result of this. But at the end of the day, this was the end product of all of that.
The other question I asked, and this is another pie in the sky, but we seem to be spending a lot of our time busting these illegal marijuana grows, which seem to be highly illegal, completely commercial in nature, very little impact in the community other than the odor of marijuana and a lot of use of electricity, but I haven't heard any reports of harm, local drug dealing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it seems to me that it's a shame that our law enforcement resources are being used so much to bust these. I mean, this seems to be an appropriate case for, the old revenue agents that used to bust up moonshine operations. I mean, why are we stuck with this, is my question.
Well, that's a very interesting question, but I believe from my opinion that the profits end up back in China. Those profits are used to buy the chemicals to send to the cartel to make fentanyl, and fentanyl is killing our citizens.
Well, I don't disagree with any of that. It seems to me, and I know that they're coming along slowly, but I hope a day will come when...
You and me too. Again, we're still dealing with fentanyl, we're still dealing with deaths and thefts and burglaries, and those things that you police with. So on a limited, we're not a huge agency.
No. But if you have to tie up, 50% of your law enforcement team on an all-day bust of some marijuana, Chinese marijuana, illegal, alien, whatever you want to call it, I don't know what we actually call these things, but we know what they are, and it seems to me that those law enforcement could be better deployed with past burglaries and other things that are actually affecting Somerset County residents more directly.
Right, there is an argument for that, I guess. At the end of the day, I think that, you don't have to stand over many people that have, young people who have died from fentanyl overdose.
No, I agree with that, and I'm sure fentanyl comes from China and Mexico and everywhere in between.
We are the only ones that are taking not only now, but taking a proactive stance to try to save our citizens. Now, if it was only marijuana, though I'm vehemently against that, that's not what the law says, but it isn't just marijuana. It's organized crime.
Right. Well, I don't disagree with anything you say, other than the connection between, I don't know. I would just like to see other agencies shoulder more of a share of this work, so that our taxpayer dollars for law enforcement go to protection of our citizens.
And historically, organized crime, especially if it's a federal type situation, they're usually the ones that lead this up, or even at the state level, they would lead us. You would be participating as a partner, as opposed to you being the head of the sphere and, of course, the taxpayers of the county.
Right. So you are correct. I think people get hung up on the word marijuana. But all marijuana is the widget to make the profit. And that's what we're combating. the fentanyl that's killing our people, it's a shame. It really is a shame, should not be happening.
I know you've had your hands full since the last meeting. Have you had the ability to have somebody start putting together?
Yes, sir, I have.
The
Yeah,
costs
so
associated with
to
this?
us, and there's other agencies that participate.
I noticed Waterville PD was involved
Yeah,
in one of the last ones.
yeah, so, there's a lot, we're getting, there's a lot of cooperation, between agencies, but it's costing, roughly around, to your question, a mean is, about $3,000, a pop.
Now, is that for just that particular day? Because I did notice in your press release, you talked about an investigator actually involved in this, and I know it wasn't, their full-time focus, but months, it took, it was months long investigation.
So what, I was trying to capture your question, and you couldn't, so to extrapolate, we don't ask the detective, how many hours a day did you spend on this particular case? So we did, again, a kind of a rough estimate and come up with that number of roughly around $3,000.
And also, there's a huge human trafficking component to this as well. A lot of these folks involved in these grows are not necessarily willing participants.
Well, I assume there's a lot that we don't know, and you know a lot more, and I'm not asking you to disclose any of that in an open forum such as this. But you maybe can tell me whether, has somebody established a direct connection between somebody growing 1,400 marijuana plants in St. Albans to a direct increase in fentanyl in Somerset County? Or is it more likely, or just as likely, that any increase in fentanyl in Somerset County comes from New York City or Rochester or any of these other people that flood the state and live here as drug dealers selling drugs? Because as far as I can tell, none of these aliens, be they subject to trafficking or whatever, they seem to be, I don't know, we don't seem to see many of them. We see evidence that they are there. They're not selling drugs to Somerset County residents.
They are not.
Thank you.
The greater market is elsewhere.
Not here.
Marijuana is grown here, sold elsewhere. The money that produces is going to communist China that produces fentanyl, sends it to Mexico to be manufactured, or the chemicals to Mexico to be manufactured, and then it's shipped into the United States, and it's killing Mainers every day.
Okay, that may be true. This is,
Ask Angus King.
yeah, well, he would.
He just got a report on it, him and Collins both got.
I just, I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, I'm just saying, if we have like at any one time 25 out-of-state heroin dealers, fentanyl dealers in the state selling drugs to people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, with guns, piles of money, all of the stuff you have with illegal drug dealing, it seems to me those are a greater threat, at least a better use of county dollars, getting rid of those, dealing with those situations, than these marijuana grows, which are probably the subject, I think, of like a federal crackdown. So that's, I don't know if I get my point across. I'll
try to end this.
Well, I have something to say too, but go ahead, Scott.
I'm saying kudos to the sheriff because he's leading the initiative the way he should be. And it's trickling out to the other counties who are starting to do the same things. And I think you'll find that the federal government may start to get involved a little bit more. I think we as commissioners should be backing the sheriff 100% in what he's doing. My constituent base will tell you, and I've talked to hundreds of them, that they don't care what it costs. They want these places dissolved and out of here.
I agree with that.
And thank you, Scott, because that's what I was going to say. Kudos to the sheriff and your people in your department for spearheading this, because it has brought it to the attention of the feds. And hopefully they will do more. So we want to thank you with that. And now I'm going to quickly go back to the perceived list, and I did mention the driver's license, and I was thinking that scanning the driver's license might help the police officer in being able to say, I have the photo from the driver's license, so this helped me with my perception, is why I checked off what I checked off. Just my thought. Thank you. Is there anything else, or any other questions? Thank you, sir. Major Pike.
Just a couple of quick things, jail related. We finally have our new-ish transport van on the road. We took delivery in November, and we finally have all of the components installed and put together. And we took delivery on Tuesday, so I'm happy to report that it's on the road, just in time for us to send out an RFP for another one. And we have 7 openings. We've seen a decline as of late with total applicants. Seems to be seasonal. We see a downturn in people interested in working historically in the summertime. I'm not sure why that is, but we got a couple more vacancies than we did last time we spoke. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Tanya?
Good afternoon. So I have May's stats for you. In May, we recorded 1,115 documents. That's up 315 documents from May of '23. Of those, 558 were e-filed, 557 were paper documents. So this is the first month where e-filing has surpassed paper. We recorded 10 plans. That's up from 5 in '23. Total earnings was $133,207, which is up 3.9% from May of '23.
Wonderful.
Very good.
Pavel?
So we work on multiple IT projects. So one of them is like two-factor authentication for all the Windows computers. We're working on upgrading networking equipment at EMA location. We're working with creating VPN tunnels for central storage applications, so external agencies that use that because for HIDA, they will have a direct access to our new central storage application. Phone lines for the comm center, that's an ongoing project, and also testing encryption on the laptop computers.
Any questions or comments? Thank you. Thank you. David?
We had a site meeting with FEMA up to the Caring Place Road. We had 2 representatives that were there with Phil and I, and the third one showed up. The third one was looking at historical aspect of the area, and he just looked around a little bit and asked me a question about snowmobiles crossing the road, and that was the only question he had. I'm not sure if we're going to get funds for that, because they need to prove our plan to fix it makes fiscal sense versus trying to reinstall the landslide area down the ravine, basically. So I'm not sure where we stand on that. I have dealt with our caseworkers, the mitigation people that met us at the site, a different group than the one we work with for the other aspects. And I've sent them all the information on our repairs, the length, width, depth of the washouts and the erosions we've had. And so we're making progress there. The gravel pit issue is the same issue it was at the last meeting. I've sent everything to the state. I have called and sent emails both to check up on the progress. We should get some kind of an answer in 2 weeks. So right now, we're not doing anything more to the FEMA areas damaged from the December storm. We are doing other road work because we are allowed to use, I say we are allowed, we are using the unlicensed gravel pit at this moment on other sections of county roads that do not involve FEMA. The FEMA sections we're leaving alone for now. They're repaired enough from December to everyone can travel across them without a problem. They're not in their final states, they're not back to where they were before the storm, but, you know, people are driving across them without any problems. That's basically what I've been working with lately.
Any questions? All
Okay,
good?
thank you.
And is Natalie here? Is that in the back? No? We can't see the person way in the back. I don't know who that is, okay.
I think it's a no.
No, it's a no, not a Natalie, okay, thank you. And did I miss anybody? I tried to pin it on our guest. All right, moving on. No unfinished business, new business, resolution 24-103, to make adjustments to the commissioners' meeting schedule for the months of June, July, and August.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Let's go. Resolution 24-104, to authorize job postings for the positions of Emergency Management Director and Deputy Communications Director. Second?
Second.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Resolution 24-105, to approve the promotion of Savannah Boudry to Programs Manager at the Somerset.
Spiritually speaking.
Craig was on a little bit, I think it's the big part.
You shut it off?
You shut it off.
Only yours. I can still hear it over there.
So, is there a motion and a second?
I move.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Amen.
To go. Resolution 24-106, to award a community benefit matching grant to the Norwalk Fire Department for the purchase of equipping a side-by-side to provide fire and rescue services to the newly open rail trail.
So move.
With the request of
The 15,000.
15,000? For a second? Do we have a second?
I'll second it for, move the discussion along.
All right, discussion?
Your committee recommended 0.
The committee recommended 0.
Committee recommended 0. I would be more comfortable with 10 as opposed to 15.
Any further discussion? I like the 15 myself. I think it's a fair.
Having heard what we heard last week and where this can advance beyond just their area, the help that it can be overall, I'm recommending 15.
I'll say what I said the last time, which is that we have the money. And as a result, I think we can afford to be generous. But there will be a time when we have more applicants and less money, and we are going to have to apply criteria that we don't have to apply right now, but sooner or later, we're going to have to look at availability of alternative funding, community-wide outreach, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of stuff, but we don't really have to do that now because we have the money. We've heard from the town. They seem to have made a compelling case. I like the idea of 10,000, but I guess I'm not going to argue about 15, because as I said, we have the money, it's a worthy project, but maybe a couple of years from now, we'd be having a different discussion.
That makes sense.
This kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I like what you said. So,
He made a lot of sense.
yeah. Yeah, and we do need to look at that as we go forward. Any further discussion? All in favor of 15? Any opposed? We go. And we have resolution 24-107 to award a community benefit matching grant to Moose Alley ATV riders for repairs to the trails. The request is 15 and the review committee recommends $15,000.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
And this is the one that instead of putting money towards the clubhouse, they're gonna be using it towards the trails. I think according to my notes.
That's correct.
Okay.
So they had a more urgent need that came up between the time they put the application in.
And they're matching this with money they've raised?
That is correct.
Right. And all these projects have to provide us with the receipts to let us know that they've actually finished the job before they get the money, so. Any further discussion, all in favor? Resolution 24-108 to award a community benefit matching grant to the Friends of the L.C. Bates Marketing Funds. Request is $2,066. Review committee recommends $2,066.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
The location of this museum.
It's in Hinckley.
If you're not Hinckley, yes.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. And just for further information on this, the Friends of the L.C. Bates is a separate nonprofit that you can actually donate to and have tax benefits from, but it's separate from Goodwill Hinckley that actually owns L.C. Bates. And I'm on both boards, so I will recuse from voting on this. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? 2-2, so it fails.
So, was that two opposed?
Joel and Scott opposed,
Oh, okay.
right? So it means that it would fail. So
Can I
it's-
just going forward, since I sit on the committee, why would you oppose something like this?
For me, this organization, although nonprofit, has immense amounts of fundraising opportunity and other.
Well, actually, it doesn't. It's a small group of people
What's the
that's separate from Goodwill Hinckley.
So
It's a small group of people that's separate from Goodwill Hinckley. It's not,
Some island out there
It's-
by themselves.
yeah, basically, and they focus solely on L.C. Bates.
And it's a very modest request.
So for myself personally, it's more of a, what I personally feel we should be focusing this money on, and a lot of times it's either, the UT tourism industry, which is why a lot of this money exists to begin with, is because of the, the TIF and that sort of thing. And then the other thing is something that actually saves lives. So those are my priorities. And I'm gonna try to keep within that framework as.
That's not what, if you read the community benefits statute, it doesn't just say limited to saving lives. It's your own personal view of how money should be spent.
Well, I would think that this would be a good thing to support. I'm unfortunately not unable to vote for it, or against it, for that matter, because of my membership with L.C. Bates. So,
I've been there several times with my grandchildren, and they enjoyed it a lot.
it's a great resource for the county, quite frankly. So, but being that as it may, the vote has been taken. Resolution 24-109 to award a community benefit matching grant to Maine Laboratories LLC to expand PFAS testing. Request is $15,000. Review committee recommends $5,000. Motion. So moved. Second. For what amount?
What's that?
For what amount? You've heard her speak.
Whatever was proposed.
15,000.
No, it's 5,000, that's what, well, that's what's recommended.
Recommended.
Requested 15. So which one are you choosing?
Recommended.
The 5,000.
Sure.
I second.
And you did second it. Okay. Any discussion? I think it's a good opportunity for everybody in the county to have their PFAS worked on the 15 would be a big help. So,
5,000 recommended, I think, for me.
Can we vote?
we should vote. All in favor? 5,000? All opposed? I didn't get the vote. You voted,
I'm voting in favor of the 5,000.
and you voted in favor, so it's 3-2. All right. Resolution 24-110 to award a community benefit matching grant to the East Pond Association for dam repairs. Request $15,000. Review committee recommends $15,000.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? I'm assuming you're taking the $15,000, the full amount, that's,
Yes.
seeing no discussion, all in favor? Thank you. Resolution 24-111 to award a community benefit matching grant to SAD 12 to replace the bleachers at Forest Hills School in Jackman. Request is $15,000. Review committee recommends $15,000.
Okay.
I
already did that.
No, I want to make a mention here that this one and number 112, the recommendations are both 5,000. That's a typo on my part. The recommendation is 5,000, not 15,000. My apologies.
I move 5,000.
5,000. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Just in reference to the school, that's 8012 replacement of bleachers, I would assume that monies could be coming from other sources rather than this, and I'd have to echo Joel on what his last one was. I just don't know if this is something that really should be, done with community members.
Well, that's benefits the community, so it's a, fits the bill.
And if I can add, the thought was that the school district should not be asking the county to pay for their new bleachers, but the fact of the matter is that community center, or that school district, whatever it is, the gym, is used for all sorts of community-based events, and all sorts of members of the community that may not be connected with the school use it. And so we thought it was appropriate to make a kind of prorated contribution to the bleachers, reflecting the needs of the community at large, as opposed to just the school.
And
So that's the basis for a $5,000 recommendation.
they indicated that these bleachers were put in, or they're original, from 1965, and the cost to replace would be $56,000. Either that, or they're from 1956, and the cost to replace would be $65,000. One of those two.
I'm assuming they're looking to replace them not just because they're not visually pleasant.
Right.
There's safety issues
And ADA accessibility and...
ADA.
that's
right.
Increased weight gain in the community.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay. Resolution 24-12 to award a community benefit matching grant to the Snow Devils Snowmobile Club for repairs to a storage facility. Request $15,000. Review committee recommends $5,000.
Correct. Oh, that's a typo there.
So those
Yeah.
5,000.
Second.
Second. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor? Resolution 24-113 to award a community benefit matching grant to Spinology Chiropractic to make ADA improvements. Request $15,000. Review committee recommends 0.
So moved. 0.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? I'm opposed, put it through the 0 anyway. Resolution 24-114 to award a community benefit matching grant to the Mercer Historical Society to install a heat pump in their building. Request $4,000. Review committee recommends $4,000.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Any opposed?
You're opposed, okay,
I am
thank you. So, 4-1. Resolution 24115 to award a community benefit matching grant to the Skills, Inc. to provide safety and mobility improvements at 5 group homes in the area. Request is $15,000. Review committee recommends $15,000. So moved.
Second.
I assume that's at 15. Discussion? All in favor? Let's go. The resolution 2416 to award a community benefit matching grant to Somerset Economic Development Corporation to equip a tech lab. Request is $15,000. Review committee recommends $10,000. So moved. What are we moving?
10,000.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Resolution 24117 to accept the resignation of Patrol Deputy Jeffrey Braun from the Somerset County Sheriff's Office. So.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Mr. Go, thank you. Resolution 24118 to approve the hire of Jeffrey Warner as reserve dispatcher for Somerset County Communications Center.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Okay, thank you. Resolution 24119 to approve the hire of Alan Jones as patrol deputy for the Somerset County Sheriff's Office.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Capital Reserve expenditures, non-unorganized territory, Resolution 24120 to authorize the continued payment of road maintenance of camp roads in Mayfield.
You were cruising right along there. Did you guys vote on 119?
No, we didn't vote on it.
Yeah,
We had a motion and a second on 119.
Oh, I thought we did vote. I thought we did vote.
I thought we did.
I was losing it.
All in favor? Thank you for holding me tonight. All right, we're good. Now, resolution 1220 to authorize the continued payment of road maintenance of camp roads in Mayfield. So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
So as you recall from the discussion last meeting, this was brought up, and Dave kind of talked about it a little bit, gave you some history on it. And so there was an option to continue as is, or maybe move to a percentage basis going forward. So just to refresh your memory on that.
I oppose this. I don't know how many road associations there are in the unorganized territories. If we want to, as a county, maybe out of the TIF budget, give them a stipend for road maintenance, all of them equally in a fair manner, that sort of makes sense to me, because there's public benefit to that. But I don't understand why we would single out one particular group of people and bestow upon them this county largesse when their neighbors don't get it. I don't think it's right. It's unfair. Those are my views.
I would support the idea of reducing this to a 50-50 match. If they're unwilling to contribute half of this cost, then putting 100% of the cost on the rest of the taxpayers doesn't seem fiscally responsible to me. So I would propose a 50-50 share.
Would you like to make that amendment? Because right now it's the continued payment. The amendment would be.
I would amend it to be a 50% match.
Is there a second to that amendment?
Second.
Any discussion on the amendment?
Was there a solid dollar figure on that?
Yes.
So maybe we should actually make it a solid dollar figure so that maybe the future dollar figure doesn't go through the roof.
The
to get-
discussions I've had with the road person for the Camp Owner Association, this is the larger one, the Kingsbury Pond Camp Owners Association. They have 42 camps. They have 3 major roads, and when I say major, they're between half a mile and a mile and a half long. Their main concern is summer maintenance on the roads. So they would be willing to not plow the roads, which was costing us $6,000. But they want to fix their roads this summer at $4,500 to do the road repair. So they would be willing to waive any future plowing in order to set a dollar amount for road repair. So if we set a dollar amount at $4,500 a year, or whatever number you're comfortable with, we could do that. I haven't talked with the other association, but they're a smaller association. They're the Mayfield Pond and Otter Pond Association. And whatever we determine to do, they'll have to accept.
So what is, in the past, what has been our yearly expenditure? And they used it for plowing, I guess.
The winter plowing hasn't changed a lot. It's gone up because everything goes up over time. But the road maintenance was when we first started this, was quite a bit higher, because we were upgrading these roads that could take emergency vehicles. So we were adding culverts, we were adding gravel where necessary. So for a couple of years, we were around $12,000 to $15,000 to improve these roads for these camp associations. After that, like this year, it's more maintenance type stuff. It's been small, $2,000. This year, they're looking at about $4,500. Some of that's because of the storm damage that all the roads in the area have undertaken. So we basically, commissioners have the option of, if whatever you consider the most important to the associations, they want the maintenance aspect. So they would waive the snow plowing and just do, you can set a dollar amount that we can give them towards road maintenance in the summer.
So if I understand this right, if nothing had changed, this year, they could have received as much as like $10,500 for $4,500 for road maintenance, $6,000 for
And
plowing.
the last winter has all been paid for. That's all set. So we're looking at moving on to the future.
I just understand what we're doing here. I mean, I'm sure Brassway Lake, Moosehead Lake, Rockwood, there's all sorts of places in Somerset County, we have road associations that have private roads. And the last time I checked, and I don't have any date on this, but my guess is that most second home owners, seasonal owners, probably have enough, they're not a distressed part of our population. They're pretty well-to-do. I don't think there are any these are not year-round homes, these are discretionary, secondary vacation homes, and we are singling out one group and saying, let us give you this money, and nobody else gets it, just you. I don't think that's good policy.
It was just the location.
I was gonna ask you, and so that was because they are in a direct distance from where the wind turbines are.
But the wind turbines have now been here for I don't know how long. I just rode my bicycle up there on Sunday, as a matter of fact. They're still there, and people are getting pretty used to looking at them. And the traffic hasn't really changed on Route 16, and the population hasn't changed on Route 16. Aside from those windmills sticking up there out of the woods, there's really no change to that area. And those camp owners still get to enjoy their idyllic life on the lake. They probably don't pay much attention to the windmills while they are there on those weekends when they have the luxury time to be there. I see no reason why we would give them money for their road if we're not doing that on a fair and equitable basis for other people in Somerset County.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were...
And it makes no sense to me to give them money when we won't give a measly $2,000 to the Friends of the L.C. Bates Museum. I think it's crazy. So, I've said my piece.
Direct relation
Thank you.
there. Thank you. I would propose no more than $4,500 for road maintenance, would be my amendment.
And you're with that. Any further discussion? In favor? Opposed?
So carries 3-2?
3-2.
Okay, thank you. That was a vote on the amendment.
Right.
So now you have to vote on the motion.
And now, discussion on the motion. Dave,
I just want clarification. Is it strictly on road maintenance and we're going to waive the snow plowing?
this is on road maintenance, it says nothing about snow plowing.
Oh,
The authorization to continue payment of road maintenance of camp roads in Mayfield.
To be fair, when I wrote that in the agenda, I was presuming snow plowing is part of the road maintenance.
Well, we had just broken it out as two separate items.
Well, is that your amendment, you just wanted to give the whole thing in half, or you just wanted to pay for the summertime maintenance?
So my proposal would be that they have $4,500.
They do what they want.
they use it however they want to.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
Dave likes it.
I say that because I haven't talked to the other association, they may value snow plowing over the road.
Right.
But if we just have a dollar amount, we tell them, use it,
This is what you get.
okay, I like that.
Okay.
That's clear.
Okay.
Well, so, right now, it's to authorize the continued payment of road maintenance of camp roads in Mayfield.
In the amount of $4,500.
No, we didn't pass that amendment.
Yes, you did. You
Yeah, we did, okay, and we want 4,500.
We thought we were voting on the 45.
Yeah,
And then we were reminded of
right,
where we were, probably.
thank you. All right, so,
So we have to pat, now to vote.
Now to vote for this.
on the whole
As amended.
As amended.
you ready to vote? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Warrants, Resolution 24-121 to approve the treasurer's warrant of general fund, Somerset County Jail, unorganized territories, and the TIF tax revenue of a total amount of $411,126.17.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Here we go, thank you. Miscellaneous discussion items, commissioners only. Nothing? And now we recess to execute documents. Thank you. And we'll come back for our executive sessions.
I've been sitting through it, so
Questions for financial impact of the contract.
Is the only one you gotta sign tonight?
You heard this?
As far as I know, nothing else. I don't see any of the, there should be deputies.
Sheriff's Department, right? Should have one from the Sheriff's Department.
I wonder, maybe.
Tim, do we have anything from the Sheriff's Department to sign?
No. It's really just the warrant.
Thank you for coming. Chief Video, thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for your support.
You do. We better have a
Gentlemen, thank you. You're welcome.
I have to take my photo.
You guys did a good job.
Thank you.
So we should be supporting our group. Memorial Fire.
Yeah.
Trustee Bates.
So Peter Marquez is here.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about Palmyra first? And then I'm going to have him look at the situation with the union.
Oh, yeah, why don't we talk about Palmyra first? There'd be no problem with that.
That'd be quick right there.
Yeah.
We can't get money from the jail, so.
Ready to go?
Yeah, they.
No, thank you.
Take this message on.
They're mills being handed off to us and the taxpayers.
So when there was prohibition, you didn't do anything as well.
No, I think there's one in the window, is that a Ford? I don't know.
That's the result.
Right, I mean, it's part of the pipeline, and there's one other thing that has.
I agree with you. Who voted for it? I voted against it. I pulled the carry. Why would you vote? You should just vote.
To send a message.
That is to me, it's unconscionable.
I know.
I'm pissed.
Well, I'm just, I'm,
Show a fucking t-shirt.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
I'm glad the price is here, I hope he quotes me, because I think, I can think of a lot of camp owners up there that
Well,
go,
and that's why.
yeah, no, I know.
I can't believe we're doing that.
The point that this shouldn't be our job to do this to begin with. This
It's
should
just, I mean, I know the towers are there, but they get like permanent,
It ought to be a better.
they get a permanent free ride because they have to look at the towers on their way to flush camps. That's what we're doing, is that good policy? Why are we doing that? They've been getting, it's been 10 years they've been getting. Isn't that enough? When is that enough?
Next year.
He said next year, last year.
Next year we will not, I will not support it next year, though. I think we'll read them off.
There it is, guys.
Oh, my God.
That's a long way.
Oh, this is a bad one.
That was 44 miles.
You drove 44 miles, ARH.
Was that 44 miles runway?
There I am at the ATV kiosk.
Looking very thirsty. Where's the beer?
It's really, I'll tell you, you know, up close, they really are amazing.
Yeah.
And the camera doesn't do this justice.
Not a Canadian citizen.
I went up there.
Are they moving?
Some were not, and some just, I don't know what the maintenance issues are on those. I'd like to know exactly, you know, I saw an article in the paper today, that didn't really answer my question, which is, when you go by one of these really ugly solar farms, like on East Madison Road, how does that compare in terms of kilowatts to a 1 wind tower or 2 or whatever?
Yeah. See, well, the problem is, the solar farm you're looking at, it's a smaller 1.5 or whatever it is, gigabytes or whatever I don't know what it is.
But that's not a standard size for a...
No, the one I was gonna have at my house was a
Are you
5.
keeping that, are you keeping that?
Is that big?
Yes, yeah.
Do you want somebody?
Yeah.
Decided against it, or?
No, I had a 5-year contract, they paid me for 5 years to hold a contract. Quite a bit of money, actually.
Yeah.
Just to hold it. And then, at the end of it, the guy above me, Steve Nichols,
Was it somebody that
With the old gray falling down bar in there?
talked to?
yeah.
Yeah.
Just trying.
East Village Outer?
He owns that art downtown.
Yeah. They used to work on it.
Yeah, well, I talked to him one day, and I said, Steve, on that, what else do you have for income? What good is that? He doesn't even go out there. His Social Security is $600 a month. Social Security is $600 a month. That's all he's living on.
Wow.
Yeah, he
600 yards from there.
I think he might have a
He's a nice guy.
He might have
In the
a
same neighborhood as.
family money that he gets a little bit here and there from it.
Hold that.
He's gonna be close to 90.
No, he's,
State involved, or is that involved?
I'm guessing he's 80-something.
Yeah, he's in his 80s. So I know you couldn't do it, but is it apples and oranges?
No, yeah, it is.
I mean, in terms of investment, return on investment, I don't care where the money's coming from. If you have to spend
How that came about.
X amount of dollars to build a wind tower, and X amount of dollars,
Actually, he called me on the radio.
how much solar do you get for the same amount of money? And then how much kilowatts do you get?
I think they all vary. They do, seriously, all vary. The one I had was gave me $1.3 million.
But there ought to be a way of figuring out per acre,
Right.
per unit of, area, with
Chinese communist government.
per year of sunlight
This is controlled by.
on an adjusted basis or whatever, we generate X amount of kilowatts, and this sort of on a solar farm, and then per wind tower, for regular winds over the course of the year, we generate X amount of electricity.
Yeah.
And this costs X and this costs Y. I'd like to see the numbers. It's like Shelby, nobody will ever tell you.
No, they don't give you
Cost of
electricity?
Well, I was saying, I'd just like to know the relative cost.
Patrick likes the solar.
Solar farm.
The cheapest electricity is nuclear.
Yeah, oh, I agree.
So the big difference.
Yeah, that's why we took it out.
In the wind is, the wind isn't using much power, so we're not paying exorbitant money for it,
Yeah.
because they don't do anything.
Get too many,
They produce.
never bring one back.
Just like the funding, just in terms of
If they cut all the trees down, they put up wind and solar.
5 acre solar farm versus 5 acres of wind towers, which produces more juice at what cost?
Yeah.
So we're,
You take that to installation.
Well, I mean, there's so much calculation there, because now you've got to add in, now you've got to add in something that's already costing wind tower, right? Because you're putting in this 500-ton concrete base that you're blasting.
But I want to know.
You're 60 feet or so.
Tower no less, relative to how long does this solar panel last? How much?
Depends on who you ask.
Is that like?
You never get any hard data.
So I went, back when I was on the planning board, I came, Maine Municipal put on it was a pro municipal Maine thing.
Yeah.
And so they started talking about them, right? And then, of course, then you can Google them, you can actually Google GE and stuff, they'll give you the efficiency of the turbine, which of course they always overshoot, right? Just look at the wind turbine in Prescott, they went through 3 of them.
Yeah.
So while he's shaking your hands, the meter's running, so.
Hello, sir. Good to see you. Thank you. Thank you. How do you?
Team colors.
Team colors. So sometimes I walk down Temple Street.
Which is good for you? Well, it is very good for me, yes, absolutely.
All right, while we're here, we're going to exit recess into executive session. So, motion to enter an executive session under 1 MSA sections 4056E, if, discuss with legal counsel pending litigation, town of Palmyra. So moved. Second. All in favor? Okay, can you get the light, please? Get the light? Get the lights.